Stop buying those big rolls into black plastic or landscape fabric. I know, it sounds surprising. Because every big box store in Vancouver is selling it like a miracle solution. You're told it's the only way to have a weed-free garden for 20 years. But here's the truth. After more than 25 years working on gardens right here in Vancouver, I need to tell you something most people don't want to hear. That one product is slowly, silently killing your soil. And when your soil dies, your plants don't fail overnight. They fade, they weaken, they struggle. Until one day you think you did something wrong. But you didn't. The problem was underneath the whole time. Because when you cover your soil with plastic, you're not protecting it. You're putting a straitjacket on it. No air, no life, no natural balance. And a garden without life can never truly thrive. So if you actually want a garden that breathes, that grows strong, that lasts, you need to stop doing what everyone else is doing and start using something simple, something natural, something that actually works. The mini miracle of thick organic mulch. Hi, I'm Darrell. I've spent over 25 years working in landscaping and garden maintenance here in Vancouver. Most people completely misunderstand how a garden actually works. They think weeds only come from the ground, up. So what do? They pin down this fabric, cover it with a thin layer of bark, and think they're done, clean, simple, finished. But here's the reality, the one I see every single day. New gardeners love this stuff because for about 2 years, I guess it looks great. Neat, tidy, low maintenance. But after that, the nightmare begins. Dust settles, dirt builds up, old mulch breaks down, and slowly, on top of that fabric, a brand new layer of soil is created. And guess what happens next? Weed seeds blow in from the Vancouver wind and land right there. Now instead of stopping weeds, you've just built the perfect bed for them to grow. And it gets worse, much worse. Your perennials, your shrubs, they don't understand plastic. They try to grow the way they're supposed to. Their roots go down searching for life, and then they hit it, that plastic layer. So what do? They don't stop. They start growing into it, twisting, grabbing, locking themselves into that fabric. And one day you finally realize this thing is not working. So you try to fix it. You try to pull it out, but now it's too late. Because when you pull, you're not just removing fabric. You're ripping the roots of the plants you spent years growing, the trees you love. The garden you built starts tearing apart in your hands, and suddenly what was supposed to be a simple solution becomes a complete disaster. Removing it, almost impossible, without doing massive damage to your entire landscape. So let me ask you, before you lay down that plastic, do you really want more plastic buried in your beautiful backyard? Based on real experience, not just theory, a healthy garden is not about what you see on the surface. It's about what's happening underneath. What most people don't see is where everything actually begins. We call this the soil food web. And it's not just a concept, it's a living system, an invisible, massive army of beneficial bacteria, fungi, protozoa, and good nematodes, all working together every second to keep your soil alive, to feed your plants, to protect them, to help them grow strong. But the moment you lay down landscape fabric, you're not helping your garden, you're suffocating it. You're cutting off the very system that keeps it alive. And here's what happens. Over time, those tiny holes in the fabric, they don't stay open. They slowly get clogged with fine dust, with decomposing matter, with everything that settles year after year. And little by little, you lose something most people don't even realize exists. Airflow, water movement, life. Because here's something almost no one tells you. Soil microbes don't just live in soil. They live in a thin layer of water around each soil particle. That tiny layer is their entire world. So if water can't move or air can't circulate, that world collapses. Those microbes, they don't fight back. They don't complain. They just disappear or go silent, dormant, gone. And when that happens, your soil might still look fine, but it's no longer alive. And then there's something else, something we see all the time, but most people don't understand. We call it the bathtub effect. It sounds simple, but it causes serious problems. Here's what happens. You dig a hole, you add beautiful magic, rich soil. You plant your tree and everything looks perfect, but underneath that fabric is acting like a barrier. So when water comes in, it doesn't move freely into the native soil. It just sits there, trapped, like water in a bathtub. And now your roots aren't growing outward, they're stuck, confined inside that one hole, circling, searching, but going nowhere. And that is the exact opposite of what we want, because strong trees don't grow in isolation, they grow by connecting to the surrounding soil, to the wider ecosystem, to life. And when you trap those roots, you don't just limit growth, you shorten the life of the entire tree. So what do we do instead? We use mulch, and we use it generously, because mulching might sound like a soft, simple, almost nice to have word, but in reality, it's one of the most powerful tools in gardening done right. It changes everything. Mulch has 3 critical functions. First, it suppresses weeds, not by blocking light. No light, no weeds. Simple. Second, it keeps moisture in the soil by slowing down evaporation, which means less watering, less stress, stronger plants. And third, this is the one most people miss, it feeds the soil, not the plant directly, the soil. Because when you use organic materials like garden compost, leaf mold, or shredded cedar, something powerful happens. As it breaks down, it improves the entire structure of your soil, looser, richer, more alive. But here's where it gets really interesting. Latest research shows something surprising, something most gardeners have never heard before. It's called root exudates. These are chemicals released by plant roots into the soil, and here's the part that changes everything. They are up to 5 times more effective at building healthy soil than anything we add from the top. Let that sink in 5 times. So when you mulch correctly, you're not just improving soil from above, you're encouraging roots to grow deeper, stronger, and to release more of these powerful life-building compounds. You're not forcing growth, you're supporting a natural system that already knows what to do. So, how do you actually do this right? Let's keep it simple. First, get rid of the weeds you already have. Mow them down low, or pull them out, especially the perennials. Start clean, then apply your mulch. And this is where most people get it wrong. You need at least 2 to 4 inches, not a thin sprinkle, a real layer. Don't be timid, because a thin layer won't block light. And if light gets through, weeds will come back every time. Now, if you're covering a large area, say 1,000 square feet, yes, a 2-inch layer might cost more up front. But here's the shift. You're not spending money. You're training your garden, training it to stay weed-free over time. Less work, less frustration, better results. And one last thing, this is crucial. Keep the mulch away from the crown, the base of your plant stems, because if mulch sits too close, it traps moisture, and that can lead to rot. So give your plants a little breathing room, always. In my over 25 years of installing hundreds of landscapes, I've seen this play out again and again. Not once, not twice, but over and over. I've walked into properties right here in Vancouver where the previous owner was promised a 20-year guarantee landscape fabric. Sounds good, right? Clean, easy, problem solved. But what I actually saw was something completely different. The new owners standing there frustrated, confused, because instead of a clean garden, they now have a weed forest growing on top of plastic. Think about that, a weed forest on something that was supposed to stop weeds. And I remember one job in particular, a job I will never forget. We had to remove landscape fabric that had been sitting there for over a decade, 10 years. By the time we got to it, it wasn't just fabric anymore. It had become part of the garden. The tree roots had literally woven themselves into the plastic mesh, locked in, entangled, stuck. So what did we have to do? We couldn't just pull it out. That would destroy everything. We had to cut it into tiny, painfully small pieces with knives, slowly, carefully, trying to save whatever we could. But every time we pulled, we heard it, that sound you never want to hear in a garden, that soft, sort of sickening snap. The feeding roots breaking, the very roots that keep the tree alive, And in that moment, you realize this wasn't just a mistake. It was damage that never needed to happen. It was completely avoidable. And honestly, it was heartbreaking, because you're not just fixing a garden, you're undoing the years of hidden harm. But there is the other side, the side that gives me hope. I also have gardens that I designed many years ago. And you know what's interesting? Those gardens have never seen a single piece of landscape fabric, not once. All we did was something simple. We added mulch again and again every few years. That's it. No shortcuts, no miracle products, just consistency. And today those gardens look completely different. The soil is rich, deep, black, full of life. Earthworm everywhere. You can feel it when you touch it. Soft, alive, healthy. And the weeds, they're not gone because we killed them. They're gone because they can't compete. The system is too strong, the soil is too healthy, the balance is already there. That is what I call a well-trained yard. Not forced, not controlled, but guided over time into something that works on its own. Gardening shouldn't be about trying to master or control nature with plastic barriers, because the truth is, this isn't a battle. You're supposed to win. It's a relationship, a journey, and sometimes nature pushes back, and when she does, she usually wins. So instead of fighting your soil, try something different. Work with it, not against it, because the moment you stop using fabric and start using mulch, something shifts. You're not just preventing weeds anymore, you're investing in the future of your land. You're building something that gets better year after year. A system that starts to take care of itself, where the soil feeds the plants, and the plants give something back. They cool the space, they clean the air, they bring life into your everyday environment. And yes, at first, it might not look perfect. It might feel a little rough and ready for a week, maybe two, while the mulch settles. But trust me on this, next spring, you'll see it. Your plants won't just grow, they'll transform, stronger, greener, more alive, and far more resilient to the Vancouver summer heat, because when your soil is alive, everything above it follows. If this makes you pause, even just for a moment, and look at that roll of plastic sitting in your garage a little differently than I've done my job today, because gardening was never meant to be a battle. It was meant to be a conversation, a quiet, ongoing conversation with the land. So instead of trying to control it, try listening just a little more. And if you want to learn how to build a garden that actually looks after you, instead of you constantly chasing after it, then stay with us, hit subscribe, and keep following along, because this is only day 7 of our 28-day journey, and there's still so much more to uncover. Not just the how, but the why behind everything we do in landscaping. So this weekend, take a moment, slow down, step outside into your garden, sit, breathe, and really look at your soil, because that right there is the most valuable thing you own. Not the plants, not the design, the soil. That's where it all begins and where it all returns. See you tomorrow.